Hello, welcome to Elite Morro. I think we're live. I don't know. I don't know how any of this works. I have about 10 screens open. Shit is stressful. Kieran told me his only feedback was to start hot, get in there with more energy. And to that I say, fuck you, Dumpy. I cursed already. I think I cursed twice. Who cares? We're all adults. We're wrestling fans. Class, 4 concurrent viewers. I've so many screens open, this is ridiculous. Shane also wanted me to go live on the TikTok, and yeah, I don't know how to. To be honest. Speak up very low. Let me turn this up. How's that? Any better? Any better? I'm worried about going too loud because I live near a road. Could possibly hear cars. Is that loud enough? And if you give me the go ahead that that's loud enough, we'll get into this week's topics. Wrestling was deadly this week. So much shit happened. So much to talk about. Shane's typing, he said better. Can I make it even better again without bringing in interference? How's that? Any interference? It says we're coming in at something decibels. Anyway, that's boring. Shall we talk about wrestling? Shane put out some stuff on the Instagram yesterday, looking for some questions. Most of the questions were related to this man on the screen, the Hangman, Adam Page. The best professional wrestler in the world right now, I'm going to say it. I'm calling it. It's perfect. Talk about wrestling. Fuck you, Shane. Yeah, the best professional wrestler in the world right now. 2 other questions, non-Hangman related. Annette O'Shea wants to know, how do you learn all them lines? Annette, you've been on stage with me. You don't know I don't learn any lines. I just don't learn lines. I'm shit at it. And that's why I forget what I'm talking about half the time and have to do long pauses. Martin O'Mac from the 5 marks said, why is Tony Khan such a prick? Martin, big part of the problem with Tony Khan is he's not prickish enough. So there you go. He's too nice, if anything. Victoria asked, is Hangman going to win it all in? And I'm going to fold that into the next question from Oshin. Great supporter of the channel, actually. What a legend. I want to get the wording right on this one because this question I found to be super interesting. I think it's a great starting point. So Oshin Mack said, would you have Hangman win out all in, or wait and build for Ospreay or returning Darby Allin to do it? There's no question to be had. Hangman has to win at all in. And no doubt in my mind. He has to win. Multiple reasons. He's the hottest babyface you have in the promotion right now. Darby Allin could come back and be super hot. I don't think he will, but he's not going to be as hot as Hangman is right now. Also, and we'll talk a little bit about this again when we get on to AEW Grand Slam Mexico. The way the promotion has been built for the last few months, Hangman has been the main character. So it makes sense for Hangman to be the one to dethrone Mox at Stadium Show. Like what, you wait for Darby Allin, you can do it in his hometown at Wrestle Dynasty. Not Dynasty, what's the other one? Is it Dynasty? That kind of Inoki show that they do up in Washington. They've done the last 2 years. You could do, or Wrestle Dream. Wrestle Dynasty was the one in the Tokyo Dome. You could do it with Darby Allin at Wrestle Dream and get a huge pop. Then you're waiting until like October. You could do it All Out in Toronto in September. But like, you're in the stadium. It's your hottest babyface. It's the hottest babyface you've had in a long time. Go with it. Like, there's other reasons as well, right? You think of this promotion from day one. Hangman has been the one the kind of promotion was almost centered around. I think that's a bit off, is it? No, the one that Hangman is the one that the promotion has been basically centered around. The first 2 years were about building him up to be your top face. Um, he loses the first ever title match to Jericho, ends up as kind of the B side of that tag team with Omega. He comes out with as a face, Omega goes heel, Hangman chases Omega for the title, and then Hangman eventually wins it in what was probably the climax of their greatest ever story. And I think we're going to get Hangman winning it again in the climax of their second or third greatest ever story. Um, this Mox reign, while it was derided in the early days, has really come to fruition. If you look at it in kind of chapters, the first chapter he was beating a lot of the young guns. I know Orange Cassidy isn't young, but he's kind of a young gun in their mind or in the presentation of the promotion. Um, then he moves on to the older guys, more established guys, and now he's really facing against like the Rogues Gallery, the Avengers of the promotion, Swerve, Hangman, and Osprey. Um, Along with their backup cool characters of the Ops, Samoa Joe, former. This is a group of three former world champions, and Osprey is obviously a future world champion. So this is like all these pieces have come together at the right time to dethrone Mox, and it has to be Hangman. And if you look at what they've been doing with Hangman this year, they're setting up um multiple post All In challengers for him. We can see there's constant interactions with MJF. The Swerve thing is always there. A rematch with Osprey feels like it would be huge. I feel like there's just more direction. You get like if you're booking, right, one way to think about it is who as champion gives you the most pay-per-view main events. Right now, is that John Moxley? Is it Darby Allin? Is it Will Ospreay? Or is it Hangman? Hangman is the one that gives you the longest run of pay-per-view main events that you can get. So that's why I just think it has to be Hangman. There's so much interesting stuff to do with Hangman afterwards. Realistically, if Mox beats Hangman, how many pay-per-view main events does he have left? Like true big draw pay-per-view main events. You could do Osprey Forbidden Door, and then Darby Wrestle Dream or All Out. After that, you're struggling. You're really struggling for things that the fans are going to buy into as like I'm going to spend in America $50 or over here €25 on a pay per view to see this main event. So yeah, I think to answer Victoria and Oshin's questions, it's Hangman's time. It is time for the Hangman. Uh, Earlier this week, Tuesday night, Arena Mexico, Bandido Mascara Dorado. I'm not going to labour on this one. This was a cracker of a match. If you can see it, see it. It was on one of the lower tiers of CMLL's YouTube, so you can get it there if you want. You can probably find it for free somewhere. Shh. This is something I've really wanted to talk about for a while. Here she is, Mercedes Mone, with all the belts. I think she's even missing a few in that picture to what she has now. Every few weeks I see this thing surfacing of Mercedes Mone being like a Hulk Hogan thing, creative control, this kind of stuff, booking herself to win all these titles and beat all these people. That is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. Firstly, she doesn't have creative control. She's not that powerful in that someone like Tony would give her creative control. Like there's more bigger draws in the company that you would be more inclined to give that to uh, over Mercedes Mone in the first place. But secondly, I think the people who are making this argument that she has creative control, she's booking herself to win all these titles, just don't know what a push looks like a proper big time top heel push. This makes perfect sense. You book her to beat everyone until somebody beats her, and then that person gets over huge. My suspicion is that it'll be eventually Willow Nightingale being the first to beat her for an AEW title. And then she'll probably do a run where she drops loads of titles on different of the different promotions. So, uh, how this cop should get on TV. There's the 5 marks again. Yeah, I just think that like it's not the time to beat her yet. Milk it, like milk this for what it's worth. And she's super hot at the moment. Her matches, 2025 in particular, have been excellent. And here's the thing, I think she should beat Tony Storm at All In as well. Um, it's a more interesting story. If you want to do the trilogy, get more money out of this. This is going to sell tickets. It has sold tickets. This match, it's the biggest match in women's professional wrestling probably anywhere in the world right now. Both of them have been built impeccably. You got Tony coming off the Hollywood ending, great feud with Mariah May, elevate her massively. Mercedes just beating everyone, uh, hoovering up titles all over the world. She's got Rev Pro titles, she's got New Japan titles, she's got two or one AEW title, she's got CMLL titles. All these promotions, you're an idiot if you think these promotions don't want her as their champion, and they're being somehow forced into it by either her or Tony Khan. If you're CMLL, of course you want Mercedes Mone as your champion because now you can do a main event on a Friday night at Arena Mexico in a month's time, and again in 2, 3, 4 months' time with her headline. She's going to sell tickets for you. If you're Rev Pro, of course you want her. You bring her over to England once every 3 months and she headlines a big show for you and she sells 3 or 4 thousand tickets, 2,000 tickets, whatever it is. She's the draw. Put the titles on her, and it gives them promotions access to her as well. And New Japan, particularly the New Japan Strong title, that's a no-brainer. You want that title on her because she's already New Japan Strong title is based in America. She lives in America. She's American, and she can headline shows for you that would, in other cases, you look at their sales. Sometimes some of their shows do 12, 1,400. You put Mercedes on top, those shows do 1,800 to 2,000, 2,500. It makes sense no matter what way you slice it. You want your belts on her, but also when the time comes, whoever beats her is going to look like a megastar. That could be Tony Storm in an eventual trilogy. That could be Willow Nightingale for the AEW World title. Could be Tekla for the TBS title. Whatever it is, someone's going to beat her, and that person's going to be more over because of it. It's good booking. There's no creative control Hogan shit on display here. Um, yeah, and you've got brain worms if you think otherwise. Any comments from those 5 marks? Dubs on that one. If Mercedes wins all the title, then lose them in quick succession. Is it not detrimental to the people winning it? Yes, in quick succession. I think it is. We've seen that kind of before with Omega. And I know, like, the AAA one was a disaster because he couldn't get back to Mexico. Um, so he couldn't really defend that title. So that was just a bit of a disaster. They dropping the TNA title to Christian Cage obviously wasn't what they planned originally. I think that things had changed there due to Omega's mounting injuries. And they also, at that time, Hangman he stepped away because his wife had a child. They were originally going to do the Hangman Omega match at All Out, the one that Danielson and Adam Cole debuted at. That's where the match was originally going to take place, and that's where Page was originally going to win the AEW World title, but he obviously took time out. That match was moved later in the year to Full Gear, and they didn't want Kenny carrying the TNA title all the way there, so they did the drop early to Christian to build up the main event of All Out 2021, which was Christian Cage versus Kenny Omega. So yeah, like if she loses them all in a 6 match run, and yeah, that's kind of a bit of a shitty way for it to end. However, it doesn't have to end that way. When it happened with Omega, it did end that way, and that was unfortunate. That obviously isn't the ideal way you end it, but like she loses the AEW. Let's say she beats Tony Storm, she loses the AEW World title. She can hold on to the CMLL title for 4 months after that. She can hold on to the Rev Pro title for fucking 4 years. The New Japan Strong one, she can hold on to that for fucking 10 years. It doesn't matter. Yeah, but I wouldn't have her like the second she loses the AEW title, go on a run of losing all her titles. Now you could do a storyline surrounding that where, like, she's lost once and now this has affected her confidence. She goes on a huge losing streak. She can turn face, try and find herself again. So you can play that into storylines as well. AEW Grand Slam Mexico. I thought this was an absolute tremendous couple of hours of wrestling. It was the best TV wrestling show um, that I've seen in a long, long time. Not the best I've ever seen, but um, one of the best I've ever seen. 5 hours. Like, she runs through everyone, just as someone look like a star. That's what people complained about when Roman was doing it. Yeah, Roman's one is hard because that went on for so long. I don't think the Mercedes run of this should go that long. Particularly with the other promotion spells, Rev Pro, CMLL, New Japan Strong. It's not this thing where it's on TV all the time, or has huge viewers all the time. So, like, that would make it a little bit easier for that. Also, I didn't hate the Roman title run as such. Like, it had a couple of, and it has some similar weaknesses to Mercedes one in that, like, there's so many matches where they're not losing, so the joy of the match is kind of taken out a bit because of that. But anyway, back to AEW Grand Slam Mexico. I absolutely adore this show, and to get back to what we were saying about Hangman earlier on, Hangman coming out at the start of this show, cutting the promo in Spanish, was like the ultimate power move. But also, it was a kind of an indication to me that he is winning. He is winning the world title at All in Texas. It feels like now they're positioning him on the show as their top guy. Like, they're without shadow of doubt, this is our top guy. And things like having him open the show and doing a fucking promo in Mexico in Spanish and the crowd going ballistic for him. The original pop was amazing. Reports came out afterwards that CMLL are mad to bring him back. Like, that'll tell you everything you need to know. They were so enamored by the Spanish he spoke, that they're going to bring him back. I'm not going to go into the show in detail. There he is. Look at this man cutting his promo in Spanish. A cowboy. But for me, this was the moment of the show. This is one of the best wrestling entrances I think I've ever seen. I can't pronounce it. Mi muero. Like, this really was described to me as being like Mexico's equivalent of Celine Dion's "My Heart Will Go On," a song that, like, literally everybody knows the words to. Mystico's in the original video. It's not a song that he uses frequently for entrances. Reason being that it costs a lot of money for the song. And Tony said, "Fuck it, pay for it. We're putting that on TV." It was such an incredible moment. See him shedding the Sin Cara mask with the Mexican flag, the crowd singing every word of the song. There was reports in the building from Lucha Blog that the vendors selling food and selling stuff in the building stopped their selling to sing the song. That's fucking crazy. That's crazy. This also was the peak of viewership on the show on TV. This did over 800,000 and like a 0.23 or a 0.22 in the demo, whereas the show did 736 and a 0.21. So the Mystico match and the Mystico MJF match drew pretty well for, like, exceptionally well. What am I saying? Like, exceptionally well. The show itself did about 15,000 in the stadium or in Mexico, Arena Mexico. Maybe not 15, 14 and a half. Sellout there, I believe, is 15,500, or 15,500 to 16,000. So to do 14.5 for the show, it was the highest priced show ever in Arena Mexico. Average ticket was $22, but the ringside seats were about $400, which was huge. Which is huge for normal ticket prices in there. I love this match. I genuinely thought that this was one of MJF's greatest ever heel performances. The match was simple. It was a basic foreign heel versus hometown hero match. But I really thought this was one of MJF's greatest ever heel performances. He did everything right. And people complaining about the finish, like I've seen people saying, "Oh, they buried Mystico in Arena Mexico." No, they did not. It's very, very clear what they're doing here. And I said it on last week's All Elite Morro, hours before this show happened. I said, I feel like something's going to happen in this match to set up for a mask versus hair mask, probably at All in Texas, because that match, a mystical mask match, will sell an extra possibly 2,000 tickets for that show. Um, and they executed it perfectly. This is a typical lucha heat finish. Like, you tear the mask off, the heel gets disqualified. Mystico wins the match, but he gets embarrassed, and brilliant work out of MJF putting on the mask and standing on the rope, celebrating as if he'd won. To me, it's very obvious they're setting up a mask versus hair match. I think the hair thing makes sense in that the rest of the Hurt Syndicate are bald, and you can make MJF be bald with them. It's a kind of a cute visual. But yeah, just tremendous match. Great heat. Unbelievable entrance. Like I was thinking, where would I rank that in entrances all time? That's the way it felt to me. Like there was a few. CM Punk's entrance at Revolution for the MJF dog collar match, the Miseria Cantera one. I loved that entrance. Obviously, CM Punk's first entrance back in AEW after 7 years. That was super emotional, super highly charged. Loved that. Kenta Kobashi's return after he got cleared from cancer. That's probably the best entrance I've ever seen. The outpouring of emotion in that audience in Japan was just incredible. But this one, I thought like this is up there with some of those ones. There are ones that just come to mind, just off the top of my head. But yeah, super. Like I'd say I watched this entrance 6 million times, and I saved the song to a playlist on Spotify. Uh, so yeah, like just loved it. I loved the whole show in general. Beast Martus getting to wrestle in Arena Mexico for the first time in 14 years. This guy had a week. What a week for Beast Martus. Yeah, in the big 12-man tag, Beast Martus, he had a dispute with CMLL 14 years ago, and he walked out, and 3 days later he showed up in AAA. If you know anything about Mexican wrestling, that is like the biggest no-no of all time. Those, like, whatever we think about the hatred or the atmosphere between WWE and AEW, or WWE and WCW back in the day, it pales in comparison to the deep levels of hatred between AAA and CMLL. Um, and Tony Khan had to specifically go to the owner of CMLL and request that Beast Martus gets to wrestle on this show, and he was allowed. That's a great thing for their partnership. Um, so yeah, to see Beast Martus back in Arena Mexico wrestling in a CMLL ring, I feel like that's the sign of how both companies are making the most of this partnership. That CMLL have, like, you know, when AEW first started working with CMLL, there was talk that a lot of like even New Japan guys um could be in a little bit of bother working certain shows, and they wouldn't be allowed work shows with like, so New Japan guys couldn't work an AEW show if Phoenix or Penta were on the card because they're AAA guys, and CMLL and New Japan have a relationship that goes back long before the AEW CMLL or AEW and New Japan relationship. So it was really weird. CMLL were put in a difficult position when AEW were working with both AAA and with New Japan. Uh, and it was really Danielson who pushed for the CMLL relationship early last year, and I think it's blossomed into something kind of fantastic for both companies. And a lot of these wrestlers are getting over on AEW TV. I feel in that New Japan is starting to weaken. There's no doubt about that. They don't have the stars they used to. They didn't replace their older stars with the up and comers. They haven't pushed their up and comers properly, and the up and comers that they have pushed, like Shota Umino, haven't got over with their home fans. So for the Forbidden Door concept going forward, the stronger CMLL is, the better. You could, and like, if this was a different year when Forbidden Door wasn't in London, if it was in the US, maybe one of the border states like Southern California or something, or do an arena in Mexico, you could headline it with the MJF Mystico Hair versus Mask match. That would be huge in those areas. You would sell out an arena of 12 to 15,000 people. I feel like 10,000 anyway. In Texas, you do 10,000. Southern California, you do 10, 12,000. In Arena Mexico, Mystical Mask match, you would have people climbing the walls to get in. So yeah, I think that partnership is really strong. That's kind of shown by the Beast Mortal stuff. Uh, so that's good to see. Good for the wrestling business. Shane wanted me to talk about this one. Goldberg and Gunter. I don't have a whole lot to say, really, except for this. Because Shane and John covered it on this week's Livewire wrestling show. Unfortunately, I was unavailable for it. I thought that was one of the best podcasts on the channel in a long time. If you haven't seen it, watch it or listen to it. I thought the boys were excellent. Here's my thoughts on Gunter Goldberg. I like it. I like it a lot. Now Shane made the point of what if Goldberg wins. I don't like that. But do I think we live in a world where 50 fucking whatever year old Goldberg and Gunter can have the best sub 5 minute match in wrestling all this year? I think they could. I actually think they could. Um, Goldberg looked restricted in his movement coming to the ring, to say the least. But I like this idea. Like, the only thing I feel bad about is they're putting it up against All In, and you're it's Goldberg's retirement match. It's been billed as his retirement match. If he wins, and he could, if he's booked to win, they might want to do a return match later in the year where Gunter gets the title back or whatever, get two matches out of it. But I don't like the way it's been booked against another wrestling show, because to me it's kind of, there are going to be a lot of people watching All In. People are going to watch All In. I have no doubt about it. In large numbers, and a chunk of them would have otherwise watched Saturday night's main event in Atlanta. It's Goldberg's hometown. I don't know if he's from there, but it's his base. Uh, but I think these two can have an absolute banger of a 3 minute match. Like four chops, a spear, an attempted jackhammer, a power bomb, and choke him out. Somebody goes through the ring barrier, whatever. This could be awesome. Just get Paul Heyman to edge into the match. Like, he does those things better than anyone. You've seen Paul Heyman laid out Brock's matches for years. He laid out the original Brock, not the original Brock versus Goldberg at WrestleMania 20, but the one at Survivor Series 2017, I think. And the return at WrestleMania. I loved both of those matches. I thought those matches were fantastic. So yeah, I think this could be good. Hopefully, Goldberg isn't injured or hurt in the lead up to it or coming out of it. But yeah, I think just the easiest thing here is Goldberg's retirement match. You have him run over Gunter for like 3 minutes, and then Gunter catches him in a sleeper hold and puts him to sleep, and then Goldberg wakes up and says goodbye to everybody. Nothing wrong with that. That could be awesome. So yeah, I actually kind of like this. Now, here we go. Here we go. John Cena's pipe bomb on CM Punk. Where do we start? I didn't hate it. I thought it was an effective, albeit extremely flawed promo. I'd like to hear what some of you think. let's talk about the effective parts first. This is the type of heel that Cena should have been since the heel turn. This super honest, um, pointing out your flaws. Not this, you people didn't cheer for me, blah blah blah, you people betrayed me. Fuck that shit. There's nothing interesting about a heel turn followed by a you people promo. And I'm going to ruin professional wrestling in a really slow voice. Nah. Like, this is the person who character assassinates your baby face's fatal flaws. I really like that aspect of the promo. A few things that I heavily disliked about the promo, and I say effective because I think the WWE fan base loved this promo, and I do think it will have increased interest for this match in Saudi next weekend. Um, Now for the flaws. Punk's laying for 6 minutes in a Slim Jim branded table. 6 minutes in a Slim Jim branded table. It's so funny, like. My second flaw, and this is the major one for me, he didn't go far enough. You can't you can't cut a pipe bomb and censor yourself at the same time. Look, it's so clear that Punk has signed off on all this stuff backstage. John Cena isn't going into business for himself on CM Punk and airing out the dirty laundry. Um, so CM Punk, whatever is said in these promos, CM Punk is agreeing. That's what he's allowing. But he's not allowing. I don't know if it's him or if it's Cena or if it's Paul Triple H. They're not allowing him go far enough. If you're going to cut a pipe bomb, you have to cut a fucking pipe bomb. You have to go all the way with it. Take the three names he said. Hello, Claudio Castagnoli. Hello, Nick Nemeth. Hello, Matt Cardona. Hyping back to Punk's Hello, Colt Cabana from 14 years earlier. Those names are subliminals. They were substituted names. Claudio Castagnoli, initial CC, that's Colt Cabana, CC. Nick Nemeth is Nick Jackson. Matt Cardona is Matt Jackson. Say the fucking names. Say the names. That's what makes it a pipe bomb. If he had said those three names, it would have told us a few things. Punk has agreed to go all the way on this, to have himself laid bare. It would show something deeper in Punk. Unconvincing and inauthentic, Oshin says. It just didn't have that raw feeling kind of hatred that Punk had in his one. Look, if someone's comparing this to the original pipe bomb, they're fucking idiots. It's not in the same stratosphere of promo. And the inauthenticity is the biggest problem. I know Dunphy had the same feeling. I think John had the same feeling. We had this conversation of it just lacked. Like, I think it was effective because I think this has generated more interest for the match. However, it's not an all-time great promo by any stretch for the things that Oshin has just said in the chat. Unconvincing, inauthentic. It didn't go all the way. You can't cut a pipe bomb and censor yourself at the same time. That's and the antithesis of what a pipe bomb is supposed to be. You just can't do that. Like, it makes no sense. And I also think there's another issue here of Punk loses this match. It really feels like a burial of your second top babyface. Is Roman the second top babyface? What's Roman? Is he in the company? Like, do you know, if you're doing a depth chart of your babyface roster, your Triple H, you're sitting down, you're doing a depth chart of your babyface roster. On the babyface side, number one, you put up there on your board, your draft board, you go, Cody Rhodes is my number one babyface. Probably put CM Punk number two. Do you put Roman Reigns 3? I don't know. Yeah, it's not like, it's nowhere near an all-time great promo. I found it to be uh, quite an interesting promo that will probably be effective in getting more attention or engaging more viewers or gaining more interest in the match it's promoting. But after that, I feel like it's just going to be something that we forget about in a few months. And I hope for Punk's case we forget about, because he's having his character assassinated while he's laying in a Slim Jim table for 6 minutes, and he's going to lose the match. You know? Are you paying attention to what's going on with Trump? I can't believe you're not worried. Thank you, June Girl. I'm always worried. I used to live in that region. Have many friends there and people close to me. Only a few hundred miles from there. But anyway, thank you for bringing down the tone. Yeah, Saudi, when they go to Saudi next week, that's nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. So yeah, now we're losing concurrent viewers based on that comment. People are afraid, they're checking on their families. Our viewer count dropped. Anyway, so yeah, like, this match is going to be a glorious clusterfuck. It's going to be shit. It's going to be in front of a dead crowd. It should have been in Chicago later in the year, or as someone said on our TikTok during the week, I think it was like Danny Doring, um, it should have been done in like Madison Square Garden on a house show that's non-televised, and it becomes one of those things of like, nobody saw it. Oh my god, it sells 22,000 tickets in MSG and nobody sees it thing, and it's released on a video in 20 years' time. There's loads of hype about it. One of those things you have to be there for. Kind of like that idea too. But yeah, now last night, the return of the Golden Star Kota Ibushi. I added this in just like an hour ago because I watched Collision today. Um, Collision was a hoot last night. But Kota Ibushi returned out of nowhere, and physically he looked unbelievable. Look at the shape he's in. I was so happy to see him back and so happy to see him in that shape. However, there's a period of time, like a 10-year period, where Kota Ibushi is arguably the best wrestler in the world year on year. For like a decade. His G1 final with Tanahashi in 2021, I think, I can't remember, is one of the best wrestling matches that has ever taken place. A million times better than Taker and HBK at WrestleMania 25. 1 million times better. However, the last few times we saw Ibushi, he was a physical wreck. His shoulder was wrecked. His ankle was hanging off. His Marufuji match in Noah was like, was it in Noah? I think it was. It was one, or was it in like some, I don't know, was it Muta's retirement show? I can't remember. That was one of the worst and saddest matches I've ever seen. He's one of my favorite wrestlers, probably of all time. Like, if you like his Nakamura match at Wrestle Kingdom 9, the um, Golden Lovers versus the Young Bucks at Walter Pyramid in New Japan when they one of their first shows in the US. One of the best tag matches I've ever seen. The G1 final with Tanahashi, again, one of the best matches I've ever seen. This guy's like a demon. He's a beast. He's just unbelievable. But I just don't want to watch him again be crap, because that's just kind of sad, and he's unbelievable, and he looks in tremendous shape. So if he comes back, does a few matches a year, is able to look after his body, remains in good shape, and is pretty awesome, then fantastic, you know. Welcome back, Ibushi, and I think it adds a lovely layer to this, because Omega's still caught up now with the Don Callis family, going into his Okada match, and people who traditionally supported him against the Don Callis family, like the Elite, they're off on their own thing. They're involved in the main event picture. Ospreay's distracted by the main event picture. So having somebody show up to even the odds for Kenny, like his best friend in the whole wide world, Kota Ibushi, is awesome layer and wrinkle to this. And we could get a tag match of the Golden Lovers, Omega and Ibushi versus Okada and Takeshita. Fucking sign me up for that. We could have matches. Imagine Kota Ibushi versus Kyle Fletcher. That sounds unbelievable. Kota Ibushi versus Takeshita. Unbelievable. If he can still go. He's taken time. He's taken a good long break. Hopefully he's properly rehabbed his injuries and we see the actual demon, because this guy is a demon. We see him back at full health. Well, that's been most of the stories this week in wrestling. There's lots of other things happening. Could have gone into a bit of detail on Dominion, but fuck that show. That sucked. Didn't suck. There was some good stuff on it, but for the most part, it sucked. We'll know more for next week. A little update on the G1 blocks, I think. We'll drop back in with how Punk and Cena are building to their match. Maybe by the time we're back live, they'll have had the match. And I can see if I'm right or wrong about it being a clusterfuck. Anyway, thanks. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks to the people who have commented. Appreciate that. And see you all on the next stream.